Indiana Jones. Created as a love letter to the film serials of yore, the first 3 films made archaeology cool and archaeologists cooler. So what do you do when you have a popular movie? Make a bunch of games. From the primitive Atari to the high-tech PlayStation, there's been several Indiana Jones games, though not all of them saw the light of day. In the late 2000s, LucasArts was making a next-gen Indiana Jones game. The game was going to be a showcase for the Euphoria physics engine, which allowed for more dynamic interactions and reactions compared to something like Havoc. It was a big deal, but the project experienced challenge after challenge and delay after delay. Then in 2007, Nathan Drake stole Indy's spotlight with Uncharted, becoming a success as Indy's game became vaporware. After much work and little progress, LucasArts shelved the game. Or so we thought. While we never got the main course that was Indy Next Gen, we did get the appetizer that was Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings. As was the style of the time, these ports were outsourced to other studios. Mercs 2 PS2 Mastermind's Artificial Mind and Movement handled the Wii, PS2, and DS ports, while Amaze handled the PSP one. With the recent success of Machine Games in the adventure, this was a good excuse to dig up this forgotten game to see if it belongs in a museum or if it should have stayed in the moldy old temple where it was found. Full disclosure, I'll be reviewing the Wii version for this video. Next video, I'll be looking at the other ports to see how they stack up. So without further ado...
Germans? Why are they here?
Set in 1939, everyone's favorite whip-cracking archaeologist finds himself on a quest for Moses' staff. The Goose Steppers, led by rival archaeologist Magnus Voller, want the staff so they can part the waters and create an easy entry point for the Nazi forces. Indy travels the world in search of the staff before it falls into the wrong hands.
Listen, sweetheart.
No, you listen. I've got about £100 of camera equipment here, about 2 weeks of work to do in 5 days, and I've already missed half my deadlines.
Staff of King's story is your typical Indiana Jones adventure. There's a mythical artifact, exotic locations, a will they won't they love interest, and booby traps aplenty. The one thing the plot lacks though is context.
Sticks and stones, as you Americans say.
Professor Kingston was right about you. I'm just glad he's not around to see it.
Context is important as it gives reason or purpose to things in the story. This game has very little context. It has characters, it has story beats, but it doesn't have context. A good example is the villain, who we learn was a former colleague of Indy's before being busted for selling artifacts on the black market. Afterwards, he retreated to Germany and started working with Der Fuhrer. The only reason I know this is because of the character bios and the pause menu. It's given brief mention during cutscenes, but never elaborated on. Stuff like this is important to know, but the game glosses over these things like it's nothing special. Characters come and go with little introduction, and the ones who hang around aren't given much to do.
Magnus Voller.
I see you already found what we were looking for. Thank you. You've saved us a lot of work.
So once again, Jones, what was briefly yours is now mine.
During the story, MacGuffins are introduced with little explanation. There's a jade spear the good guys and bad guys are looking for, but it's never clearly explained why they want it. All we know is it helps pinpoint the location of Moses' staff, and that's it. This mixture of cliches and boring characters makes Kingdom of the Crystal Skull look like the African Queen. This is an Indiana Jones game, and what it lacks in an intriguing narrative, it should make up for with compelling gameplay. If only. Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings is Indiana Jones but on the Wii. You'll punch Nazis, solve puzzles, evade dangerous traps, but on the Wii. Jokes aside, an indie adventure tailored to the little white console sounds promising, especially given the unique controls. Yet it doesn't take long to see how artificial mind and movement cross the seal and bork your game.
Something's going on here. I need to start looking for answers.
If you know me, I love Wii. I think it's a fantastic system with a solid library and an incredible controller. Motion controls changed how we play games. The problem is not a lot of them got it right. They either implemented it wrong or relied on it too much. Sometimes both. Staff of Kings falls for this trap. Almost everything you do uses motion controls. Brawling, shooting, flying, torching, and whipping all involve some sort of gesturing. Some of it is fine, but for every cool one, there are several others which should never have been mapped to motion controls, like combat.
You wouldn't think archaeology was such a rough profession. Well, you'd be wrong.
You thrust the remote and nunchuck to attack, or press B and flick the remote to grab an enemy with Indy's whip. The problem is its execution. You feel less like a scrappy fighter and more like Mr. Magoo in an MMA match. Too often the controls don't work, causing Indy to either punch at the air or not perform the right attack. There were several instances where I thrust the remote or nunchuck in a direction to make Indy punch, only to instead throw a jab or uppercut. Whenever I made it through a fight, I felt like Indy on the boat in Raiders, exhausted and beaten up. Successful brawling doesn't come from playing smart, but playing dirty. Every arena is littered with props. They can be used in self-defense or as environmental takedowns. You soon realize the trick isn't to get up close and personal, but to run around and chuck stuff like it's a food fight. The final gauntlet set on board an airship kicked my ass until I realized the key to winning was to channel my inner Benny Hill. There are glimmers of fun, but they're buried beneath the tedium that is mindless waggling.
Listen to you. I have beaten you.
Speaking of waggling, QuickTime events. This game loves QuickTime events. See a collapsing pillar, crumbling ledge, or ancient booby trap? Expect a QuickTime event. You'll flail your arms like a coked up drummer to keep Indy from dying. If there's anything that'll contribute to my eventual arthritis, it's these QTEs. There's a right way and wrong way to do motion controls. Games like Resident Evil 4 and No More Heroes mixed untraditional controls with traditional game design and made it work. Hell, even the Captain America game had an intuitive control scheme that utilized the buttons for fighting and motion controls only when necessary. Unfortunately, the designers chose poorly. Looking past the iffy controls, how does the game itself fare? It's okay. It's a run-of-the-mill action-adventure where in true Indiana Jones fashion, you explore ancient ruins in search of something to progress the plot. The introduction leaves a sour impression, not just because of the jank, but the never-ending tutorials. You sit around as dime store Harrison Ford explains the mechanics. This would be fine if you could skip them, but you can't.
The first time I used a whip didn't go so well. Luckily, I'm here to teach you everything I've learned since then. The whip can be your best friend in a fight. Aside from using it to pull furniture down on top of bad guys.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
You can use the whip to pull enemies in close.
Get on with it!
Once you get past the opening snooze fest, things pick up steam. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed puzzle solving and platforming. Some of the puzzles are as easy as flipping a switch, but others require some quick reflexes. My favorite is this bit set in an ancient ball court. Each switch you press causes another spear to roll out. Once they're all pressed, a ball is dropped, and you throw it into one of the hoops while trying not to get squashed. Again, a simple puzzle, but the challenge comes from trying to survive.
Easy.
Holy shit!
Panama and Istanbul are arguably the game's high point. Combat takes a backseat as exploration becomes the focus. While I wish the levels were more open and intricate, I enjoyed the various challenges each area offered. What also surprised me about Staff of Kings is how meaty it is. There's quite a bit of content, including extra game modes and unlocks like concept art. Multiplayer includes a standalone co-op adventure where Indy and his dad stumble onto some Nazi shenanigans, as well as various versus modes. Perhaps the thing this game is most well known for is including a fully playable version of Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. All you need to do is perform one in-game feat to unlock this PC classic. Although it is telling that the old point and click you unlocked for free plays better than the Wii game you paid for.
Not bad.
Visually, I'd say Staff of Kings looks alright, were it not for the Vasasmear smothered all over. I think the characters and environments are fine, barring some PS1 era textures, but it's been covered with greasy greasiness. I'd say the sound is good, but the poor mixing makes almost all the dialogue barely audible.
You go in. I'll be there in a minute.
Hurry up. I don't care much for diplomats.
You go in. I'll be there in a minute.
Hurry up. I don't care much for diplomats.
The indie actor is decent, though his constant grunting makes it sound like Jones needs to hit the gym. Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings is a mediocre game wrapped in a shitty control scheme. I've seen some videos call it one of the worst games ever, when truthfully, it's more annoying than awful. I remember liking it well enough as a teenager, but clearly I was under the influence of Kali Ma. A dull story and simplistic, gimmicky gameplay make for an experience that's hard to recommend. It's packed with content, but you must be willing to put up with a lot just to savor it, and if you ask me, it's not worth it. Sure, it's got Fate of Atlantis, but why put yourself through this when you can just emulate the sucker? I'm curious to see if the other ports are worth your time, because this one does not offer fortune and glory, only frustration and monotony. If you're jonesing for Jones, there are far better options. Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings gets a 3 out of 10.